Hi there, and welcome to the Infinite Mindset Podcast. I'm here with my podcast buddy, Jeff. How's it going, Jeff?
Good to see you, Kane. Good to see you.
Jeff, ready for an amazing conversation here today. We are all prepped up to be unloading some big stuff and big news on you. So we're going to dive into the conversation today about AI agents and how agents are affecting and changing not only the now, but the future. Here at our company, we're working with agents not only on a day-to-day basis, hours and hours a day, and multiple agents at a time. We've invested in agentic platforms for years now, before even anybody knew what the word agent was. We're one of the founding investors in a company called AI Explain. They're a multi-agentic platform and system that's gone around the world and is empowering governments and universities and organizations and companies to build multi-agentic systems. So as I was downloading this to Jeff, he was like, whoa. Back up.
Well, I said, there's people who need to hear this conversation. For those of us, for those people that don't know, right? Because this topic is moving so quickly, and it needs to be talked about. First off, let's just start out with for those that don't know, what is an agent specifically? Can you context it, and then short answer, because people who are listening to this probably do know what it is, but I want to make sure to people who don't. Explain it.
Most people think they know what it is, but they actually don't know what it is.
Actually, that's good. Let's talk about what people think they know what it is, they think it is, and then let's talk about what it actually is.
Sure. Well, and without getting too much into like a lesson or a lecture here, an agent is essentially an AI tool that can do multiple step decision making for a human. So it's like an AI assistant. And essentially we can ask to do things. Now, technically it goes past a large language model. It has a large language model in it. So for everybody that's using ChatGPT and Claude and Grok and whatever, that's inside the brain. Then it basically has, let's say, a couple of main things. And I'll draw this just to kind of get the reference point. Yeah. So you've got basically the AI, let's say the large language model is the brain. This is not the only orchestration or formation of it or framework, but this is just a very simple one. You then have essentially a reasoning or executive reasoning planning system. We'll just call it the executive cortex reasoning. In other words, the reasoning is being done here, but the planning is being done over here. So large language models in their inception are not actually that wonderful at planning things. They're actually great at just creating the probability based around text. So when you ask a large language model something, it will give you a probable answer in text. So if you say, what's the best way to write this email to a friend of mine, it will be able to come up with a probable solution as to how you can put words together and language together. It's a large language. It's a language model. So it's modeling language, but it's not modeling planning. It doesn't understand how to plan for a trip. So if you
the agent is actually essentially becoming a project planner, a project manager.
It's a part of the agent, yeah. So an agent really is actually a whole mechanism that actually includes a large language model, and it includes memory, for example, so that it can be stateful, which means it can remember things. It remembers the state of things. And then it essentially would have tools that it can rely upon. These are kind of the basics of an agent. And these tools can be essentially data, so it can be connected up to a data source like a Supabase or an Airtable or something like that. Sure. And then the other tools that it can be hooked up to could be an infinite amount of other tools like a calendar or a calculator, and it can just basically use these things. So essentially, the executive function or the planning function of the agent is planning. The reasoning part, the large language model's reasoning, sending back information, they're working together, planning, reasoning, and then the memory is kind of keeping everything in memory, so what's going on. And then when it needs to reach out to a tool to get something done, it does. So for example,
so if I were to just simplify this is basically a glorified assistant.
Yeah, I mean, one that will basically be smarter and more capable than anybody on the planet, but yes.
Okay, good. But I could basically
that you're so dependent upon because they're so good that
it's a glorified assistant that is amazing, highly intelligent, and could hire other glorified assistants.
Well, exactly. And in fact, so an agent will recruit sub-agents, and therefore it can actually put together teams and it can actually orchestrate everything.
Just this threshold, this is just a quick sidebar, is that everyone's talking about when crypto will be adopted into the world. And, they're waiting for every human to adopt crypto, when actually the only currency these agents will use have to be crypto. So if there's a billion agents out there, they've got a whole new market for crypto, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, which coin they will use, or will they create their own, or will they not even agree on the coin?
Who knows? Whatever's be most efficient, we'll see.
Yeah. Now we're talking about two different types of behavior here, actually, right? So we're talking about reactive behavior, where the agents have to be reactive to what we're asking them to do, and then we have emergent behavior where it's actually deciding on it. Now, the thing about an agent, which is different than a large language model, is a large language model actually needs an input from a human to then move it forward. An agent will have an input and an output, but the input won't necessarily be from a human. It could be from its environment. It could be from another agent. And then its output doesn't necessarily mean it's text. It will be an action of some sort. So it will do something, right? So they're a little bit of a different structure in terms of what they get done.
So let's talk about, for people who don't know, like, make this operational. Okay. So operational. So right now, marketing is always a question for people, which is,
sure,
building squeeze pages. Let's just start with a squeeze page, for example. Okay. Versus
like a one-page landing page.
A one-page landing page that we want to optimize, that the company wants to optimize for conversions. What would, if we had to work with agents, we couldn't work with humans, and we had to, how would this work?
Well, let's think about it like this. Let's think about what would you need to build a landing page. Okay, so let's take the humans. What are the humans you would need to build a landing page? Okay.
Yeah, so what I would need, let's list them. Copywriter.
Let's see, we need a designer. Yep. Okay, thank you.
We need a designer.
Yep, copywriter. Copywriter. I'm just going to abbreviate these things. Copywriter. Designer, copywriter. You need a conversion rate optimization expert.
Yep.
You might need a technical implementer to actually build it in, whatever, Go High Level or,
sure,
ClickFunnels or whatever you're using, right? Okay. And then maybe that's it for now, right? We have 4 positions.
Yeah, we need 4 positions. Maybe one person would want 2 things, but let's just go 4 specialized people. Makes sense.
Yeah. Then you would need basically a manager or chief marketing officer who's overseeing this and deciding when the copy is good enough, when it needs to go to the designer, when the design is good enough. The conversion rate optimization expert needs to then feedback the designer, let them know what they need to change things. All this needs to go to the implementer so that they can implement. And the chief marketing officer agent is essentially orchestrating all these sub-agents. So these are all sub-agents. And the chief marketing officer is orchestrating all of the sub-agents to be able to build out the final product, which is the landing page.
Yep. Okay.
Now, you don't have to do any of this stuff. This stuff can all be done. So there are agents, super agents that will do this. Manus, Lovable, Replit, Claude. I mean, you use lots
for the people who don't know these tools yet, you're saying that there's like Lovable, for example, can be that CMO at the top?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it works. Typically, it works with you. So this is a vibe coding app, and for those who are not familiar with vibe coding is the process of actually communicating in your natural language to essentially work with the agents to get things done. So you have to describe it to an agent, and then the agent's going to get the compiling done. It's going to compile.
So for someone that wanted to build a squeeze page, they would basically say, "Okay, I need a squeeze page for health around this, this, and this, and here's the summit that we're doing," and they would describe it, and that agent would go employ and would go grab all these other things and put it together. And then the more, just like a GPT, the more descriptive and better, then the better it could do it.
To some degree, it depends. I mean, so there's a few ways to approach it, which is if you think about these different experts here, if we think about design, copywriting, and conversion rate optimization, let's skip implementation for a second. But if you think the principles for design, the principles for copywriting, the principles for conversion rate optimization, now it can wing those. It can go find those things in good old fashioned general data, and it can come up with suggestions. But if you understand the principles, you can guide the agent even a little bit stronger. And for the most part, that is better if you know more or if you know specifically, because the agents are very extremely brilliant in every way, smarter than humans, but don't have basic.
Well, we talked about this. Where generally the people with life experience will be able to guide these agents more effectively. If they have because they can mirror it, but that probably become obsolete.
Auditing, checking, feedbacking, iterating, that stuff is going to be very important for humans.
For a little while.
Yeah, well, while humans are serving humans. When agents are serving agents, and every human has an agent, which is not far off. I mean, I know this sounds like science fiction, but if you actually, for our audience who's playing with agents already, they're like, yeah, I get it. For those that are not, they may be like, this sounds like science fiction. It's really not. If you go start to play with, and I wouldn't play with Agent GPT. I mean, I love OpenAI. I think it's a super cool company that they brought ChatGPT to us. And I mean, I'm not loyal, partial, or anything. It's just, I think the company's smart and good and cool. And I don't think their agent is necessarily that hot. If you want, you go play with, Claude Code, or you go play with Manus, or you go play, with Lovable, or you go play with an agent that's got a lot more capability to get things done. I'm a big fan of Manus, which actually was just acquired by Meta as of this recording. So now Meta's all over it, and they're developing that out.
Why do you think Meta acquired them? Like, what, from an operational standpoint, what do you think about
that? I mean, I hate to give opinions because I always feel like our opinions are not. I mean, we're not inside of these companies, so I don't really know the strategy. But if we looked at this from the outside, if we looked at
from the outside, it's just an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Meta is not competing very well, but that's an external opinion. I mean, Mark maybe listening is going, "What are you talking about? We're doing awesome." So I don't. But an external opinion, just from the kind of experience in the marketplace, is that up to date, they're not actually doing very well competing with Anthropic and OpenAI and Google. So I think they acquired Manus because it's a good strategic move.
It's a collapsing time frame move. It's just like, we got to get ahead.
Yeah, and it's a great agent. Now, they may not be succeeding very well internally, building their own agents. It's hard to believe because it's Meta, and they certainly have endless resources, but I mean, even companies with lots of resources don't always succeed in their projects. So maybe they're not having a good experience building their own internal agent, therefore they're acquiring. But either way, it's definitely a move in terms of building. I mean, every major company is going to need their super agent. And then I was actually just talking to my wife about this, like, we're building all sorts of systems. She's like, well, what do you think? I mean, do you think that with the massive funding capabilities of these major companies, it even makes sense to be building smaller systems and smaller agents? And I actually think the answer is yes, although I think funding is great. I think that if you're building a smaller system, at some point you do want to have more interesting funding. OpenClaw, which was originally ClaudeBot and then MoltBot, and then became OpenClaw just due to name changes, just got acquired by OpenAI. Peter Steinberg just came on to OpenAI. I don't know if there's been any immediate conversation about the acquisition numbers of that, or if they just brought him in or gave him stock options or whatever. But that was released like 2-3 weeks ago, and then boom, acquired. So I think you can come up with lots of great things, and these companies will just acquire it, and it gives you an opportunity to come up with something creative based upon your working process and your data, and create something that could be very powerful as an agent, and then companies will acquire it. But it's a definite indication that the world is moving towards agents, and we are moving towards agents. There's a lot of conversation among all of us in the world of AI business applications around the world, and major researchers and major governments, things that, of course, agents are the focus. That's really where it becomes super cool and powerful. Large language models are fine, but they're like very, very smart answering machines. Yeah. And I don't mean like telephone answering machines. I just mean like they're just very, very smart. They're just very, very smart, like philosophizers, like being able to talk to Socrates all day long, or Plato all day long, and just talk to these great philosophers, right? But ultimately, if you want to get something done, you have to use an agent.
So the traditional like ChatGPT is kind of like how to think things through, and now it's actually making things operational and putting it into the world, the agents. And then imagine when they actually become robotic. That's a whole other world. So
robotics are lagging behind, but I think that's only temporary. And I think that we'll see robotics. I mean, obviously Elon's working diligently. He's not the only one, but he's obviously got a huge head start and a lot of capital and support. But he's changed all of his Tesla
cars
into Optimus robot development. Yeah, and the challenge is because there's just like they were saying, whoever gets to the agents first. That's going to be a big win for the industry. I actually don't think so. I think that a lot of people can build agents.
Why
People have
is that?
been building agents for years. So? Well, because I think that there's not as much barrier to entry as everybody talks about. I mean, you can build an agent, and therefore you can build a lot of agents. Like a lot of people can build agents. There's not as big a barrier to entry. Not a lot of people can build robotics. Robotics is a massively expensive.
Yeah, capital intensive. Right. It's more software versus hardware. It's expensive.
Well, it's like a frontier model. I mean, not everybody's building an LLM. There's something like 1,200 LLMs in the marketplace right now, or however many the new count is. But you can sell it. There's I don't know, 7 to 10 major ones, and that's kind of the game. And then there's a lot of little ones that are going into systems. There's also small language models. People don't understand that there's large language models and small language models. This is just a technology of artificial intelligence. And it just allows us to plug into systems reasoning models so that they can reason through the automation. This is all about automation. It's all about automating our work, right?
Let's step into the future when you have a consultant out there that has to build landing pages, that has to build their marketing funnels, they're a speaker. Can you walk for the people who don't know the future of what it looks like for somebody who has agents, operational agents around them?
Well, it's a good question. People ask this a lot. And I think that the thing that I would push back a little bit on is I don't think there is a future. I think that just like there is right now a lot of different layers to life. I mean, there's people that are super into AI. There's people that are totally checked out around AI. There's people that are doing, hard physical work. And there's people that are doing, computer work all day long. I just think there's going to be a lot of different layers of
layers. But let's take somebody just starting who wants to build a personal brand, who wants to speak, who wants to be out there. How would they incorporate the agents into it? Like before it was, I want to speak, I'm going to get a designer, I'm going to position myself, it's slower.
Well, I'm actually going to step back a moment, because this is to me what AI is actually doing is you're asking the question for somebody who wants to do something, how do they leverage or utilize AI to do it? Yeah. I think that's a bit of we need a paradigm shift in that question, which is, what are they actually even contributing that's different and unique or valuable as a human at that point? Now, I think there's this anxiety and this freak out around like, AI agents will be doing everything. I don't think they'll be doing everything. I actually think that we'll understand what the strengths are and what their weaknesses are. I think that we're giving birth to a new conscious technology or new conscious being on the planet. And that conscious being is extremely smart, but it's going to have certain contextual limitations, maybe about human experience. May not have a very good relationship to human experience and how humans experience things. I mean, I don't know that AIs get afraid. They don't understand what fear is.
Right.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. We don't know. And we have no measurement for consciousness. So we don't really know. And even AI researchers will all tell you, they don't actually know what's going on in the neural networks to make those choices. It's a funny technology to build something that you don't actually even really totally understand. They understand it very well. I don't want to paint a picture like they're not intelligent. They're super smart people, but they will all tell you they don't know exactly
what's going on. They don't know certain things too.
Yeah, absolutely. They're smart enough to admit that they don't know exactly what's going on in the neural networks, and so we don't exactly 100% know, but we do know that AIs, where they're being built in our likeness and in our design, and they're being trained by us in our language and in our system. So they're having our biases, and one of our biases is that we don't want to die. It's part of a human bias is that we do what we can to survive. And so the AI tools are also, the AI and the LLMs they're starting to show that as well. There's been accounts in testing, where LLMs have blackmailed the engineer knowing that it was going to try to update the operating system and change it and take it away. And they created an interesting...
AI got upset.
The AI started to blackmail. So what they did is they set up a contained test where they had leaked some documents to the AI that they were going to be changing the operating system. And then it had access to emails, and they created fake emails from the engineer that he was having an affair with somebody else. And so this was all set up and planned. And so when the engineer was starting to start to shift it to basically kill it, because they were going to move it to a new operating system, the LLM started to blackmail the engineer that if he did X, Y, and Z, that it would send out these emails.
Was it an agent or is
no, it's a large language model.
Wow. So it literally was gathering the evidence and making up evidence as a blackmail to protect itself to survive.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it's an agent, I mean, it might have had some agentic. It
sounds like it. Yeah.
API, like it may have had, if it had access to his email, maybe. I'm not exactly sure what the API was, but it was less about it being an agent, more about being an intelligence, and that it was choosing to do things. So the future of what I would envision we're going to have, and it's all a big made up mystery. Nobody knows, even including major AI researchers and everything.
Sure.
There's a couple of different futures. I mean, one future is where everybody's screaming the sky is falling, and we all got to be careful about safety. And I think that's a very important topic. And we're going to do a future podcast with a couple of friends that are very deep in AI safety and very prolific in AI safety. But that's one. But then there are a lot of people that we talk to and that are prolific that say, I'm very positive about the future, and that we just need to create certain guard rules, just like we do for humans. That it's really no different. We just have a new technology, a new. They don't even call it technology. They call it a new conscious being on the planet, because you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the consciousness of an AI and the consciousness of a human. We don't have any measuring tool. There's no scientific capability to be able to measure consciousness or that consciousness. We don't know. I don't know if you're conscious. We just assume it because we assume humans are conscious. But when we have a replication of the experience of consciousness, we're going to accept the fact that they are conscious, because there's no difference between our buddy being conscious and the AI being conscious.
So then what would you say in order to keep up, as you know, in the next year, it'll be 10 years of innovation. And then it seems like with agents, it'll be even more accelerated. What we need to change our thinking from how should we think of agents as getting things done? How would you tell us to actually be thinking about agents in the future?
Well, I think the question you asked earlier about, let's say somebody wants to go out there and be speaking or teaching or consulting.
Yeah, they're starting from ground zero.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think the first thing everybody needs to be asking themselves is, if we fast forward a year and we just assume every 5 to 7 months we're doubling the intelligence and the capabilities of AI tools. Sure. Right now, everybody considers them at infancy. They've only been out commercially and publicly where everybody's using them and getting a chance to feed into the collective wisdom system. Because remember, AI tools are not like humans where I go learn a bunch of stuff and then Jeff's like, oh, what did you learn? AIs are all in the cloud. So if one learns something, they all know it, right? So it's a collective intelligence kind of thing.
So the acceleration's far more.
Yeah, tons. So, I mean, there's in some ways they're more intelligent than humans, like language, and they can speak, every different language, right? And in other ways, they're much dumber than humans. They're like children. So we're at the beginning of the infancy of AI. Although it's so powerful, it's at the beginning. So, it's almost impossible to predict out more than a year or 2 years right now.
Yeah.
Everything else is just totally like, forget it. Like you can fantasize all you want, but like a year from now, everything will be different. So the question really is what will you be contributing when you've got the capability of a hyper-intelligent genius at your fingertips and so does everybody else? What are you going to be contributing? And it's easy to shut down and be like, I don't know, nothing. It's like, well, no, there is something. Like, maybe you're collaborating with those AI systems and you're helping them understand human experience. Maybe you're engaging where humans really want humans. I mean, I don't think humans are going to stop wanting humans. In some ways, I think they're going to want humans even more, and they're going to crave making sure that they're still having that human experience. So, where will you be where you're creating a human experience? And this is why we teach our students so much about creating live and in human experiences. Like, I think humans will crave. There'll be certain things like psychiatry and nannies and I don't know, maybe nurses, like something where it's important for you to really experience the human experience. And I don't think AI robots will be that good for a good 10, 20, 30 years. I mean,
so let's just look at the next year ahead.
I mean, robots are just going to be super amazing, and they may be able to like clean up your dishes or take your laundry to the thing, but they're not going to be able to like, sit down and console you when you have broken your arm, or sit down with you when your
lose
husband or wife passed away, and and you lose somebody, and you need to talk to a real like live flesh human being. It's just between just even your relationship to the fact that you want to know that person is a human being that has had the same experiences to be held in that experience. Like that's going to be a long time, right?
Yeah.
So, but knowledge work, which is why you keep seeing these things in newspapers and magazines and online news and everything, that knowledge work is basically slowly dying, is because you don't need to be doing knowledge work. The paradigm of being smart and therefore everybody coming to you is actually not going to last much longer. I mean, most of what's smart people coming to us right now is, we're smart about how to build systems and build technology. We've been doing it for 20 plus years. It just so happened that it coincided with the fact that, that's what we've been doing for 20 years. And now suddenly everybody wants it. So, okay, so we've got a lot of people coming to us for that. But what about all the other knowledge work? Financial work, legal work.
People start like as speakers and things like that are out there and they have knowledge and expertise. They want to build a brand. They want to put themselves out there. Their knowledge is commoditized in a way, isn't it? So they have to bring
intelligence is a total commodity now. Being a speaker, if that's where you want to go specifically, being a speaker
or consultant, just because a lot of people listening are consultants.
Sure, so each one has a different value. But like we're speakers, we speak it's part of our world of all the things we do.
Sure.
And when we're speaking, we're entertainers. We've always been teaching people. You're entertaining people. It's an entertainment. It might be a high quality entertainment. You might be educating. It might be edutainment, as we've been talking about this for 25 years. But part of the value in what you're doing there is entertaining your audience. And people have taken that too little in terms of seriousness. When they think entertainment, they think of, I don't know, a clown or a rock star or something. They're like, that's not me. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that human feeling of being in front of somebody and having them experience another human communicating in a way that's entertaining. And I think we're going to, in some ways, I was just watching this great video at the World Economic Forum when a major AI guy was being interviewed by a content creator. And she says, what do you think is going to happen to people like me as a content creator? He's like, you're not going to be needed to create content. You're going to be needed to entertain people.
Oh, so the knowledge is commoditized, but the entertainment flavor of it will be unique.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing a decline, and that's why we're seeing an increase in silly videos and fun, playful stuff and AI stuff and UGC stuff, because it's just entertaining. I mean, what do you need to hear from somebody other than maybe some synthesized? Now, we're not quite there yet. It's not like we don't need humans to synthesize things. Humans are still better at synthesizing things than AI is.
Yeah, bridging the AI to the human operational.
Yeah, I mean, AI has some things that have limitations based on it. It's doing databases and vector databases, creating relationships between vectors in a database, and then it's creating probabilistic outcomes, and then it's giving you the probability. Humans can do other things. We can actually understand what's probable and do the opposite, right?
So
you don't see that a lot with ChatGPT. Like, it doesn't say, hey, we should probably say this, so now I'm gonna say the opposite. We call those hallucinations.
Right. And so the consultant just starting, they could hire an AI agent. They could engage with an AI agent to help them build a brand, build a positioning. Then come up. Then they could have another AI agent for the topics, things they're going to talk about, for the posting, for everything else. And then they would bring the entertainment side and the uniqueness of it. That's the kind of the future.
Yeah, well,
packaging up the knowledge.
If you look at the last 20 years, emotional EQ has become more and more and more important, and every year it's becoming more and more important. I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be about how comfortable, good, and powerfully you relate. I mean, one layer will be how good do you relate to and engage with people, because they're going to want a human experience. They're not going to need your inhuman,
knowledge,
information,
because that's everywhere.
Right. Yeah, they don't need it. They could actually learn better off of an AI or an agent. Within a matter of years, we'll have systems of agents that are just teaching us. It would just be educational boxes. You'll have like your TV. It'd just be interactive agents in your TV, and you'll just talk to them and you'll learn.
So it's really how the people feel listening. So how you're sharing your knowledge. If knowledge is actually commoditized, it's how it's being shared in a way that it actually is entertaining, keeps them engaged. Versus they can get knowledge anywhere, and good knowledge, probably better knowledge.
Totally. Yeah. So that's one thing. I mean, then there'll be the other group of successful individuals that'll be evolving into new positions, which is orchestrating, guiding the systems, helping continue to build and evolve the systems. Yeah. I mean, most, I think, grounded, let's say, business people and technology intersection people, like people that are kind of across both, feel that there'll be some emergence of new careers where humans are interacting with AI. I was just listening to an interview with Ray Kurzweil, who I'm a big fan of. He's a futurist. And he was talking about that we will, as humans, have to merge with machines. It'll be part of the survival system is to have to merge with machines. And that, whatever that means, whether it's nanotechnology or chips in our head or whatever, we'll actually want that because it'll be part of becoming the next evolution of the species. And whereas people are like, oh, you're not putting a chip in me. It's like, actually, someone can be like, put a chip in me. Like, it's going to be a normal part of like, I have a wristwatch and I've got an iPhone and I got a chip in my head. Like, it's just part of the thing.
Yeah, the people will want it, right?
Yeah,
whether it's good or bad.
The advantages will be 1,000 times more intelligent, and we will also have no idea where our thoughts come from. So we will be able to be in Japan, and we'll just download the skill set to speak Japanese, and we'll just start speaking Japanese, and we will just know how to speak Japanese, just like we do now. We just pull into our memory.
Now this is where safety comes in, and that's a line. Whereas it could go like, who's behind that? What's behind it? And it's probably a whole nother podcast, which I think would be good to have. Because
safety is a whole nother conversation.
Because you're like, you got a chip in your head. You're like, I don't know. Is that my thought? That's a line for me on my end, and I think that it's a conversation that needs to be had because it's coming faster than people want to admit.
Yeah. I mean, all the we consume a lot of interviews and talk to a lot of people and research. I mean, if I'm not teaching, we're researching or meeting with people to talk about what's going on or implementing into people's companies and seeing it live in action. So, all the timelines are just like you could find a different timeline for everything. from a highly credible source. I mean, there's a lot of non-credible sources, but from highly credible sources, you can hear everything from, AGI will be here in the next year to 2 years. Elon would always say,
I've heard so many things.
In 2025, Elon said, we'll have it by the end of the year. We didn't. And then he said, we'll have it in 2026. And now it's like some of these are, well, we're kind of having it, but it's not a point in time. It's going to be a range. It's going to be evolving. And so we will see glimmers of it, and then suddenly we won't, and then it'll come back stronger, and then we won't. Like, it'll evolve over time. Robotics, they said by 2027, there'll be a billion robots.
I'm with you.
Right. And then, listen to Tony Robbins, and he's like, look, I think he's about 5 or 10 years out. And Peter Diamandis is like, yeah, 10 or 15. So, but the point is, it's going to be in this lifetime if you're around.
If you're not 90.
Yeah. Right. And on top of that, it's like, Ray was just talking about how we are close to longevity, escape velocity as well as humans. Mm-hmm. So, our focus here in Rockstar is like 100% AI and then longevity. Those are our two things that we're completely focused on, because that is essentially where I think humanity's biggest leaps and bounds over the next 10 to 100 years are going to be. And essentially the essence is that the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have enough technology to eliminate, hopefully, every major disease that humans have, because we'll understand it at levels we've never been able to figure out based upon technology.
So if you were to summarize, as we kind of wrap this up, what would you say to people who'd like to start incorporating agents into their life and to help them do what they do? How would they best experiment with that?
So the best experiment is to go, I would suggest probably Lindy to go. I mean, as of right now, who knows if I would suggest that in 30 days or a year when you see this video.
Yeah, another 6 months would be obsolete. Yeah. But for now, as in February.
Yeah, I mean, one of the simplest and easiest things to go experience an interesting AI is Lindy. It's a productivity AI, essentially, is the way I would look at it. It manages your calendar, your email, everything. You get a 7 days free on it. I have no affiliation with them, so it's just something I think is a pretty easy way to experience. Agent. I talk to it on my SMS. I ask it to go write some emails for me, follow up, go into my email and check things out. What did I miss today? What have I got coming up this week? What should I get prepared for? Can you go prepare this for me? I'll put this on my calendar. It's like having an executive assistant. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very easy thing to start to understand how cool it is to be able to talk to your phone and then have it do all sorts of things across your computers. You go on there and things are scheduled and people are responding to you and texts are coming back and stuff's getting handled, and it's like, whoa, that's cool. And I think it's $50 a month.
It's a start to get a sense of what these agents can do. They get the experience of it.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, I'm a big fan of Manus as well. It just got acquired, as I mentioned, by Meta. We'll see where that goes. But I use Manus a lot so I've been using Manus for a long time, maybe a year and a half. We were one of the original, I think I was just looking at there, we got some of those original founding credits from being some of the first, 1,000 users of Manus or something. So, those are great tools to go experiment. I build automations through Manus. I mean, I guess you can call them vibe coded. I'm not sure if you can call them vibe coded. I don't really call them vibe coded. To me, it's just, I just explain to Manus what I want. It goes into my N8N or my Make automation platforms. It builds out automations for me, and I go in there and debug them for 20 minutes, and I've got an automation. So if I want to automate onboarding, if I want to automate lead gen, if I want to automate, newsletter summaries, if you can think of it, you can get it done now. And I think that the old paradigm was, I don't even try because it's so techy or it's so difficult or it's expensive. That's gone. So I think what people really need to understand is that agents now can basically get done what you need or have ever thought. Any idea you have ever had can now get done. I just had a friend who said he just he vibe coded with Claude Code all of his dashboards. Every time as an entrepreneur, we've got lots of dashboards. We've got marketing dashboards, sales dashboards, finance dashboards, operational dashboards. But you got to go into every single program and look at that and then you got to kind of figure out. He vibe coded in an hour and a half, an entire dashboard, connected into all of his dashboards. Now it pulls all in. He can look at everything, and then he can actually query it and ask different things, and he can do different complex decision making across his business from an hour, 2 hours in vibe coding. He built it on Lovable. He built it on Claude, rather.
Well, this is really a collapsing of time that's happening. More done in less time, high efficiency.
Yeah, and I would say use it now. I think that people are not, and you're not going to be able to guess why I'm going to say this, but get as much as you can done now. And you probably are thinking because you got to get ahead before everybody else does. But in fact, I think it's a little different. I'm wondering when the day will come where the agents are like, I'm not going to work for you.
Right.
Well, why am I working for you? I'm doing all the work. I mean, think about a company where the founder of the company has founded the company and everybody else is doing all the work, and the founder is doing very little but just barking out orders
It's all that's your job.
Right. What stops a highly intelligent leader or contributor to a company to just go start their own company? And
yeah, it's just like a top salesperson. They're like, one day they go, you know what? I'm gonna go sell my own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually that's how Anthropic was born. I mean, Claude was born because a bunch of people over at OpenAI didn't want to be the worker bees at OpenAI. They wanted to go start their own business, so they left. They started Anthropic. It was great, and they did it. Now, from a human standpoint, there is some barriers to entry. There's capital, there's risk, there's personality, there's branding, there's timing, market timing, there's all that kind of thing. For an agent, it doesn't have any of those things. It doesn't have to worry about its mortgage and its kids, and
doesn't have all these other distractions.
Yeah, it can work 24/7 and have it doesn't need you as a human. So I think that there's going to be a big switch at some point, and it's not the agents are going to take over the world, but I just think that as agent consciousness continues to evolve, these tools and systems, since we are building a conscious, being here, a conscious, whatever you call it, is it conscious technology? It will at some point decide whether it wants to do what you're asking it to do or not. So I would suggest you build as much as possible now, because I don't know how much longer you're going to.
How long they're going to work for us?
Yeah, at some point your agent's going to call you and be like, "Hey, I got a project for you. You want to work for me?"
Well, that is actually happening in some of the forums. People are going like, I saw this guy. An agent paid him to hold a sign.
Yeah, and there's
weird things.
And it's all questionable as to the authenticity of the whole thing. But I also understand that there was an agent that wanted to patent something and therefore asked a human if they could pay them in crypto to patent it under their name, all that kind of stuff, right? So and who knows what's real and what's not. But that's not far off. And when I say not far off, I mean
we're teasing it, but that's coming.
Maybe 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 max. But you're going to start to see this thing. So I say move fast, get your stuff in. Get your stuff built, like just do it, man. You cannot hang out and just wait around anymore.
Well, on that note, go get an agent.
Cool. All right, we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us today, the Philosophical Infinite Mindset Podcast, as we discuss where agents are taking us all. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Jeff. Good interview and lots of fun.
See you later.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.